We have not played well our last two games, and it's just been our defensive performance and knowing that we have a lot of talent on defense. We can play much better than what we played, and just unacceptable the way we played. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to run the defense, and I'm going to call the defense, and I spoke with Coach Bedford about it, and he's going to coach the secondary, him and Clay Jennings, and it'll be great because we got a lot of young talent in that secondary, and there's been a lot of plays given up in the back end that we could get corrected. You look at our game on Saturday, had some flaws in our kicking game, but it's flaws that can be corrected. It was being overloaded in one gap. We just wasn't getting all the way to the front side of the gap and then end up getting 3 field goals blocked. But we know that those things can be corrected. We know that we got to get better. We had to show progress as a team. We got a big one coming up this weekend. And what's great about this game, the records last year at this time, we were 1-4 going in this game, so the records really don't matter. It's all about us just get our players to go play and just playing with a lot of poise, playing with a lot of confidence, and just having some emotion because it's one of those games where it's going to be an emotional swing, where it's going to be up and down. But we know that if we get our guys, if we get off to a good start and just relax and just have fun in this game and just let things happen, then it's going to be a really good day for us.
Charlie, the obvious question to me is, if you feel like this is the right move, why not announce it last week, coming off the bye?
Well, you go into it, Brian, and just just felt like that at this time right now that it was just a move that needed to be made. And I know we had to bye a week, and there's a lot of things that we did differently than it is some scheme that we put in, but it just just feeling like right now that I just needed start calling the defense and get that done.
Are you concerned now that with 8 games left, you might be boxed in on options?
No, I'm not concerned, Ryan. I know this. I have I've been a defensive coordinator before, and I know defense, and I know that with getting involved and then just calling a plays. Play calling is a rhythm, and you got to get on rhythm, and it's just like you try to keep people off balance. Now there's some really good offenses in our conference, and the guys that can move the ball. You look at some of these scores in some of these games, and the ball is being moved up and down the field. It's just that. What's hurting us right now, we're not tackling well and we're not getting turnovers. So when you get turnovers, at least you limit a possession for the other offense. And that's what we're not doing right now. We've been through 4 games, we have 0 turnovers. And we just get the ball turnover, get it back to our offense. We're going to either, we're going to march the ball down the field and get some scores.
In the middle, Dennis. What's your first defense here? UT actually did well in the Big 12. What's the difference other than you had a lot of experience, talent?
Well, that was it when you said a lot of experience and talent, because you look at that defense. Then you had Malcolm Brown, who was a first rounder. Then you had Diggs, you had McKell, you had Ced Reed, you had some some guys that have been there and seniors. And so now with last season and this season, it's a bunch of young guys playing, but that's not an excuse. It's still about fundamentals and technique and just playing and just breaking on the ball. And sometimes when you deal with young players, they're just so afraid to make a mistake. And I tell them all the time, guys, just relax. And there's going to be mistakes made, but just don't let one lead to another. And that's what's happening right now.
Back left, Chuck.
Charlie, making a move right now with Vance and calling that. Is there any sense on your part that maybe just slipping away just a little bit right now and desperate measures, that sort of thing?
No, Chuck, I don't think it's desperate measures, and even talking with Vance and the defensive staff, and they understand it. They understand what we need to get done. So it's not this big desperation all of a sudden. Hey, coach, you got to go do it. I know this, that I've done it before, and I can see where I can help us, and you just. Sometimes you feel like you need to breathe new energy into some of these guys, and just hoping that this will be a good move for them, and which it will be.
Coach, there's a Sports Illustrated report that a Texas official told Sports Illustrated that you're very close to being out at the end of this season. How frustrated and angry are you that that's coming from? Those reports are starting to come out.
Well, you look at it, Bob, and we're 2-2. You're 4 games into the season, and it's like with everything else. We still have 8 games left. And I told our players yesterday, I said, guys, y'all go play. You just go play, and let me just handle everything else. So it doesn't matter to me anymore, because what's going to be said is going to be said. I said we were in a similar position last year. We went through the same things in our last season. I said, hey, don't worry about it. You guys handle the business on the field, and let us get you coached up.
On the left, Kirk.
Charlie, you keep saying you need to get it fixed, and that's obvious. Why do you feel anybody should believe you that you're going to get it fixed, and why do you believe that?
Well, it's all about you. You got to have confidence, Kurt, and you got to believe. And I know this. We have some talented players. And we have some really good talented players on defense. And it comes back, I look at this, and I go back to that first drive, and we're in, man under coverage, and we get beat across, the receiver runs away from the defensive back. But even when he catches the ball, there's 4 guys standing there. Let's go tackle the football. Then the last one right before half, we get the sack, so I call timeout. And I said, okay, we get the sack here. I'll call timeout. So we get it to 2nd and 17. So now let's go get a stop, get the ball back for our offense. We're down 30-25, and let's try to get us a score, either a field goal or something to just get the score closer. So we give up a 2nd and 17 on a blitz where, we should have been outside leverage to just go tackle the ball. Then we give up a big one down the sideline. Then we throw the ball down the middle where it's 5 guys standing there. So those are things, and that's where sometimes guys are pressing so hard. You guys, listen, just go break on the ball. You have broken on the ball before. Go break on the football. And you can't ever, now let's tell guys, in the open field with a wide receiver, you can't break down on a wide receiver. You got to go attack the wide receiver. Give him a one-way. I said, because when you freeze on a receiver, now you give him a 2-way option. So, okay, he's going to look for, he's looking for his blocking, so now he's going to fake you here and come back, and you're going to get pinned. So those are things that can be corrected, where I know they can be fixed.
You think the fan base thinks you can fix it?
I would hope to believe they think I can.
Ricky? Charlie, you said last week that you were going to get involved with the defense. So now that you're fully assuming the defensive coordinator responsibilities, how involved will you be this week, and how much change can you make in a matter of days going into the Oklahoma game?
Well, you know what happens, Rick, is it's not so much that you got to go in and just make a big change. It's sometimes when they hear a different voice, and they hear me all the time in front of the team, so now all of a sudden here he comes and he's going to run the defense, and they know I ran the defense before. So you're trying to give them a shot of energy and trying to give them some confidence. And if you stand up and you have confidence, and then they start believing you can do it, because you can walk out there and I could put in a scheme right now, and they all get fired up because they're thinking, oh God, this is for me. Hey, I got a chance to go make a play. We were, and you look at you have guys. Like you got Malik who can make plays. You got Hager, you see, who can make plays. You got Roach who can make plays. You have enough guys. Brandon Jones. You look at the way Jason Hall played when him and Dillon's in there. So it's guys. It's enough there. It's just now. Let's get them in a position where they can go and get where they can get their confidence back.
John? On that same note, Coach Bedford's been your guy for a while now. I don't want your game plan, but what are some of the things you'll do differently with the team, and how did Coach Bedford take it? I mean, I know you always say he's professional, but it had to be hard.
What's great about Vance is that he's such a professional, and he went to school here, and he saw it himself. He saw it. He felt that way himself. So when we sat down and had the conversation, I just said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I just think that at this time right now we need to do this, and he took it well. But as far as getting things done and doing something differently, it's more of just putting guys in position where you're sitting there saying, now, hey, listen, on this down we're going to play this, and I want to see if I can get this guy free where he can go and get a sack or he can go and get pressure.
Stay on the left center.
Yeah, Charlie, we talked to some guys after the game. There's some guys hurt in that locker room. What are you doing to make sure you don't lose them? Because after such a great start for them to lose 2 in a row, you can tell that emotions are up pretty high.
Well said. What's really great on the first point when you made, it's good they hurt. Because at first I could never get them to hurt, and so now it hurts inside, and it really does, and it's good to see that. But what's where you don't lose them is that it's still it's 8 games left, guys, and we can still make a lot of noise. And I said to them all the time, we are just as talented as anybody in this conference. Now let's go play. We got the offense. We can go score on offense. We just got to get a few stops and get some turnovers on defense, and we're going to be fine. So they're sitting there. It's sitting there for us to go get it. Now let's go get it. Let's not sit back and watch it just fade in front of us, and then we will be sitting there talking about, okay, what happened. But it's all there in place for us. We have the talent. I mean, and I told her, I said, we got 8 games left. Just let's look at the schedule. Yesterday we have a team meeting. I said, now let's go through the schedule right now. When we walk out on the field, who would be more talented than us, or who would probably? I said Oklahoma. Yeah, they'll probably be as evenly matched as we are. Now it's going to be yes, but now everybody else. I mean, let's be real about it, guys. If we go play, who knows what's going to happen? That's all we need to go do.
Back, Alex.
Charlie, how difficult is it for you personally having to make a move like this with the guy who's been there with you for so long?
You know, it's always tough, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for the program and do what's right now for our team. And he understands it. Like I said, Vance is a pro. He truly understands it, and it was no issues when we sat down and we talked about it. It was zero. He said, "Listen, whatever I need to do to make this team better, and I can coach at secondary, and I will coach him, and I will get him right. Because he's a great secondary coach. He said, I will get him right. So good."
Charlie, after the yards the defense gave up last year, and then through the spring, through August camp, did you ever see warning signs that it was going to be this bad, or did this kind of blindside you that the defense is this?
Well, you know what happened, Mike? In the spring and in the fall camp, the offense couldn't move the ball. And so, I mean, you sat there and it's like they couldn't they couldn't hardly get a first down. And then when we went good on good, and maybe because we was installing at the time, and especially when you're installing and then you go against guys each and every day, you're going to be able to shut them down. So no, you don't ever see it coming. But when you look at the game, it's the big plays that really get you. And like I said, that first drive we give up a big one, it goes in. They go up. Then you're coming back with the long run. Down the sideline, it's all pursuit angles and angles to the ball. I'm sorry.
Should you have seen this coming?
You should, but no, you should have made the tackle on the sideline. Yes, without a doubt. And even with the receiver, we had 4 guys standing there, and the guy breaks the tackle and he goes down. He goes down the sideline. So it's and I say this, Mike, and I told our players this, and I told our players on defense. I said, guys, quit pressing so hard. Quit pressing so hard. If you go out and you play with a lot of effort and you play with a lot of energy, the scoreboard is going to be what it is at the end of the day. But if you play hard enough, you're going to be on the right side of that scoreboard. But we're not. We're pressing so hard now, and it's like when one bad play, it leads to another bad play. When it's got to be, hey, boom, that one's over with. Let's get ready and let's go out here and get. And then you look at the second half, you got some stops. So they came out. It was field goals made, but you were able to get the stops and not give up the big plays.
In the middle, Steve.
Coach, you told us Saturday after the game that you really didn't think anything was wrong with the scheme. Everybody was there. You just have to have people executing the scheme as a whole. So how does this change with Bedford being replaced?
Well, the thing that when I made the change with Vance and what I said to him, I said, Vance, it may be that they need to hear a different voice right now. And it may be that they need to hear someone that they felt like have done this and who have ran it and they've seen it done the right way. And I said, it's nothing against you, but I just think that right now I need you in the secondary, and I got a young secondary back there, and I need you to go coach that secondary for me. And he was good with it. But as far as what we're doing scheme wise, I look out there and there's a lot of good things done. But the thing that just overshadows you and you just notice is the big throws. You look at us. I think right before half is 2nd and 17. They get a run and then they throw a deep ball down the sideline and they complete it. Now you had coverage. He was all over him coverage wise, but the receiver comes down with the ball, and it's just awareness of just playing the ball in the air.
Stay in the middle, Chip.
Charlie, obviously, bad things have been in the secondary. Where does Clay Jennings stand on this staff? How would you rate the job he's done? Because obviously you're bringing in reinforcements.
Well, the thing we got to do, you're going to have two secondary coaches there, Chip. So, Clay and Vance will be back there. But what I need is a guy, when they come off the field, then I need a guy in their face saying, hey, boom, this is what happened out there. This is where we got to get it corrected. And because a lot of times, if you watch a secondary guy, he's got to understand that, you're going to give up a big play. But you got to have a short memory, and we got to be able to bounce back and let's go cover him the next time. But we got to let that play go. We had a hand on a ball on a jailbreak screen that should have been intercepted. We probably would have turned the game, and we don't come down. We don't come away with it. But I think with Clay and Vance, they'll be able to work together, and they'll be able to get them coached up.
Left, Michael. Charlie, you started Jones and Vaccaro in the secondary. Originally, they kind of came in that plan. How do you find the unit you can rely on that back end?
Well, what I did with Jones and Vaccaro, Brandon Jones is an outstanding player, has a lot of ability, and he's still going to play a lot. He can, because the thing about him, he's one of those guys that can cover, he can erase people, and is a really good tackler. And Vaccaro was a half-field player where he's off the top. But still, with that group of guys, you can rotate them because it's enough of them where they've played a lot. It's just now I'm just finding the right combination with that group of guys.
Far right, Anwar. Coach, last year there were some questions about your job security, and you actually received some reassurances, from people above you to let you know that everything was good. Have you received that at this point, and do you feel like you need it?
And where I don't need it. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we got 8 games to go. Let's go play these games. Let's go win these games, and everything else will take care of itself.
Stay on the right, Max.
Charlie, after the home game last year, such an emotional high for you guys, 5-5 since then. Why do you think this team was not able to turn that into kind of getting this program?
Well, I look at that game, and I always say, and I do go back to that game, Max, and it's almost like, did we know how to win, and then we know how to handle winning? And I look at that. I go back to that game all the time because that could have been a turn right there because it takes one game to really turn your program. And so now I think that we're at the point now where we know how to handle it.
Back left, Claire.
Coach, after the game, Malik said guys aren't believing in what we're doing. How do you explain that, and how troublesome is that, knowing that you need guys to be believing?
Well, it's not so much they don't believe in what they're doing. They got to trust one another. And that just comes from a trust factor. And I told Malik, I said that, we all have a job to do. And I said, and that's what we got to do our job. And it just comes from, okay, if they run the football, there's gaps that we have to be in, or just get in your gap. The ball is thrown, there's coverage spots that we have to get to, and that's where we wasn't getting to, and that's why you end up with the big plays.
Middle, Roger.
Charlie, say you want your guys not to press, but yet the internal struggle, the external factors, how do you handle all that and still get them to play loose?
And you know what it does, and Roger, and what needs to happen is they when they come out, it's all about when you give them a plan, they believe in that plan, and then they go execute the plan, and then they won't press as hard because then they're knowing that, hey, at some point somebody's going to make a play. It may be me or it's going to be someone else. And so right now it's not like we get it to third down, but we're not getting off the field because nobody's making a play. It's kind of like everybody's kind of sitting back waiting for something to happen, and it's not going to happen. You got to go make it happen. I look at that first drive, and I think there was 3 third downs, and one was like 3rd and 10. And you're sitting there like, hey, guys, go make it. Just don't press. Just go make it because you can make the play, and you can't freeze. It's almost like, like that one ball that was thrown there right before half. It felt like that ball was in the air forever. And it's like 5 guys standing there. I said, oh, my God, there's going to be an interception or something's going to happen here. And boom, the guy catches it and goes in for a touchdown. You're like, wow.
On the left, Danny.
Charlie, with you taking over the defense, will you be delegating some of your other responsibilities elsewhere, or will it be business as usual?
No, it'll be business as usual, Danny. I'm not going to delegate. I can, I'll find time. It's 24 hours in a day, Danny. I just got to I don't sleep much anyway, so just stay up and just find a way to get it done.
Middle. Brian up front.
Easy one and a hard one. Any update on Foreman and Warren, those guys, and what do you expect them both or neither to play this week?
Yes, the update on Foreman and Warren is Foreman's going to be back. He had a good day yesterday. He was moving around, so probably get him back in the latter part of the week. And Warren will not be back. You just don't know how long. I think we're still evaluating him, but just don't know how long he'll be out.
And then on a completely different topic, when you went back and looked at the blocked kicks and the special teams as a whole, what did you see there? And then also on special teams, does Duvernay have a green light no matter what, no matter where he catches the ball, if it's in the end zone?
No, what happened would let me get the latter part of it. It's the off returner's job to keep him in the end zone. And because what happened when you're back there, and they tell Duvernay all the time, if you're standing on the goal line, you know if you go back far enough, you're in the end zone. But the off returner should tell him when to stay in and when to bring the ball out. And a couple of times he kept him back there. Then once he let him take off, get the ball on the 25. That'd be at a better service than getting the ball on the 19 or the 20. And then the extra point, the extra point block, is that they were overloading, and so then we got the problem fixed because they was trying to overload to one side. So then the guard to the backside was shifting his weight, and he was pressing it to the backside where they couldn't get the guy through. But the first one is just a plain whiff where they overloaded the guard. One guy came, he took his shoulder, then the other guy jumped through the gap, and we got to get a good operation time, get the ball down, and get the ball kicked. We just can't sit there and just hold it. But that was a glaring mistakes there in the kicking game. We were able to get one of their extra points, had a chance the one time where we ran the fake. Then really the play should have went longer. We could have just pinned the guy, but he ended up going back inside, but he ended up getting the first down. But our special teams, the glaring one was the extra point field goal.
So any changes on snapper?
No, that's the only snapper we have. I mean, that can snap, because what it is with that, like Shaq is not a snapper with the punt and the extra point field goal.
In the middle, Sean.
Coach, on the offensive side of the ball, what's been the philosophy on when you use the 18-wheeler package, and has it been overused and kind of lost its novelty?
No, I love that package, Sean, and I think that it's just at any time, like if you're sitting there and it's early in the game and it's 3rd and 1 or 2, 18-wheeler, here we come with it. And the one time that we got stopped, I think it was a 3rd and short, and a guy was able to get a guy, beat a guy across his face, which used to never happen, and he ended up tackling him. But you look at the touchdown, everything was, I think it's 2nd and 12, and Swoops just ran over the guy like just a Mack truck. The thing you like when he goes in there, it's going to be interesting to watch, because somebody's going to get ran over if they don't have their pads down. But no, it's a package that we will continue to use, and we can use it at any time during the game. Sometimes it's good to just change the tempo of it, and we just leave them in there. I think maybe it was the 2nd touchdown. I think we put the ball, we had it out there on like the 30-yard line, then he just stayed in there, stayed in that package, because people don't adjust, and then what people are doing is trying to play 4-cross man, and so now they're trying to load the box. So if you can get hats on people and get him one-on-one on a guy, then I think we're going to win that matchup.
Stay in the middle, Ed.
Coach, what about the unique offense of Oklahoma? What will they bring with Mayfield and P. Ryan and Nixon?
Well, what they've done a great job this year is just running the football, because you got Mayfield who can run the ball, but also with P. Ryan and Mixon, 2 big backs, similar to what we have, different style of backs. And then you got Westbrook and the receiver on the outside. But the thing we got to do is it's all about being physical at the point of attack. Their offensive line is big, so can we control the line of scrimmage? And we got to keep Mayfield corralled. We just can't let him get started.
On the left, Kirk.
Oklahoma had 2 tough losses this season. They got their heads handed to them. What did you see difference in OU, in the TCU game maybe, that they changed from earlier in the year?
You know, it's interesting that they go on the road and beat TCU at home. And, you know, early they came out and they were able to establish the run, you know, got a touchdown, big touchdown there early. And then they got him on a flea flicker when he threw the ball to Westbrook. And then the second half is like they just came out and just took total control of the game. You know, the thing we can't do is give up the big play. We can't give that up. And that's a part of their package because – you know, they'll grind you, give them one of those backs, see if he can hit a home run by, you know, taking it, and then all of a sudden play action pass, and the ball is going down the field because you get so concerned about with Mayfield how he runs around. You know, you're trying to, hey, do we control the rush or do we go after him? And that's going to be a battle for us.
Right in the middle, Bob. Coach, there are a couple defensive-minded coaches in Stoops and Patterson that are probably losing their minds over these scores like you are. Why it's so difficult, not just to keep teams to 30, but to keep them to 40 or 50 in this league? What's happening?
You know, it's so much fun to watch. You don't like to watch the offense, but you end up watching because I look at Tech and nobody's going to slow him down. You know, with Texas Tech, I mean, they're going to score their points, but it's all matchup, and what they're doing is they're looking for the matchup. And like I said, if you play man coverage, you know what you're going to get. So now all of a sudden, you know, it's the underneath routes where they're trying to rub a guy, get a guy open, and they're hitting the guy on the run. So he's just running with the ball, and you got to run him down. And then if you load the box, so now all of a sudden, if you don't load the box, they're going to run the ball on you. So now you don't have enough run defenders in the box. But they spread you out. So then you have to show your hand because you're spread. So you have to show your hand. So most of those quarterbacks, you know, it's like, okay, take what they give you. If it's there, just take it, you know, take the ball and just sling it out there right now. You know, similar to what we're doing right now. Just, you know, with Bouchel, he's smart enough where you just take what you give you. And then we got the two running backs where we know we can put pressure on people and go run the ball. But it is. I mean, you're right because you look at that game last week, their game. You look at our games, like, God Almighty, can anybody stop anybody in this league?
Stay in the middle, Chris.
With Vance's changing the role, only one of your initial 9 hires in the original role that you have brought him in for. When you look back at that original staff, what do you think went wrong, and do you have any regrets or changes that you'd like to make?
No, you know what? You got to change with the game. You got to change, and you got to do what you think is best for the program, and that's what I've been trying to do is just piece it together and make sure that we do what's best. You look at the change we made on the offense has done a great job for us and is working really well for us. So we got to get the defense fixed.
Charlie, the missed tackles at Oklahoma State, especially in the first half, I mean, you said you were beside yourself after the game. With tackling and space being such a key ingredient here in the Big 12, how do you fix that in a short period of time?
You know what, Chuck, it's all about just pursuit angles, and it's all about just you have to go and attack the receiver. And what's happening is the guy is catching a ball and he's fronting us, and then all of a sudden, you know, he make a move one way, then we jump to that, you know, we take the first fake, and then he's off and running to the inside or to the outside. But you got to give him one way, and you got to attack a shoulder, give him one way to go, and then just get him on the ground. And what we're doing, we're freezing, and then all of a sudden the guy freezes us, and then he just takes off, and then we just can't get restarted, whereas he's on the move. Let's say, guys, if you're stationary and if a guy is on the move, you have no chance at all to tackle him. 0 chance. He should go. Every time he's going to beat you. And that's like I tell him with a receiver. If a receiver's even, he's leaving. So it's going to be a touchdown if he's even with you. So you got to get on top of the route. But we can't allow ourselves to just break down and get a guy in the open field and let him just keep running the ball.
Stay in the back left.
Charlie, you've had success the 2 times you played Oklahoma. What positives can you take from those games and replicate this game?
Well, we just need to go out and just last year, you know, we jumped out to a good lead. We played good early. We just rode the emotional wave, and then the game settled down. But we just got to go out and just play well and just not give up the big play on defense and see if we can move the ball on offense and be solid in the kicking game.
On the right, Anwar.
Coach, so when you know the defense comes off the field, you take off the headsets to coach those guys up on the sideline. Does that mean Sterling Gilbert kind of has the green light to just kind of call the plays without your influence until you put the headset back on? As the saying goes, the trail also?
Well, really, I don't really have to take the headset off because when they come off the field, we'll be talking. We'll be talking to one another on the headset. So I'm going to be telling, hey, Vance, we need to get the secondary. This is what needs to be done. BJ, this is what the linebackers need to be done. Brick, this is what the D-line need to be doing. So those guys can get them. And I said, hey, if I need them, I will call them up before the offense runs out on the field and just say, hey, this is what we need to get better at, guys. This is what's happening to us. Because you kind of have a little way, because a lot of times they're changing possession. There's a TV timeout or something's happening unless the guy's rolling. And if they're rolling, I'm yelling, say, hey, this is what we got to get done. But, no, anytime Sterling, if he has a question, I'm on the headset. He'll say, hey, Coach, what do you think about this? What do you want to do here? But, no, it won't be one of those where I just completely just ignore the offense. No, I'll still be pacing that sideline.
Athletic Director Mike Perrin was here when you walked in. Did you know he was going to be here? And what did he say to you? Hear the pilot on as well?
You know, I did not know he was going to be here. I just saw him when we got off the elevator and walked in the door. But I guess he's making sure I'm okay. Huh? I haven't jumped off the stadium yet.
Charlie, for those who, have criticized you that's not being organized enough, in terms of the staff decisions and even on game day, what would you say?
Well, you know what happens, Chip, is that, when you talk about just not being organized, I just don't know what questions they like to ask me, because we meet, we know what's happening, and so when you talk about with the staff, there's changes that are going to be made on the staff, and when you look at the staff, when I made the change last year on offense, I just felt like that in recruiting, when you recruit, guys, receivers want to see the ball moved around. They want to see the ball thrown. They want to be in an offense that's just wide open. So in this state, that's what you get. So I just felt like, hey, that's the direction that we needed to go in, and we need to produce points, which we're doing right now. And then the decision on defense is that, you feel like, hey, if I get more involved, if I go run the defense and make the calls, I've done it before, then that's a good change for them. And then on game day, it's I don't know what decisions that we're talking about that need to be made, because look at the kicking game, the extra point and field goal. When the decision they're made is just that, you had them blocked, and now let's get it work where we can get it blocked the next time where it doesn't happen to us again.
Two last ones in the middle, Roger followed by Dennis.
Charlie, with all the first half struggles, kind of odd you've given up 3 total touchdowns in the last 2 games, and one was a 1-yard drive. What's happened that you guys were able to adjust on the
We get in there, Roger, at halftime, and then we just start talking about what we're doing, how we can make it better. And that's why you like to say, God almighty, hey, maybe let's take the second half and start off like that. But no, don't let them start off the way they do the first half, because I don't want to give up for sure in the second half, give up all those scores. But we just it's more of us just adjusting there at halftime, and then when you see it, when you have time to just really sit down and say, hey, listen, guys, this is what we have to go stop. This is what they're doing to you. This is what we're not doing a good job of, and we got to get better doing it. So then we go back out there. You're right. We go back out there second half, and it just look like a totally different defense. You're getting off the field with punting the ball, making them punt the ball, and I think they ended up with 2 or 3 field goals there on Saturday.
With what you know now, second guessing yourself on coordinator changes, not making either one of them soon enough?
No, I can't second guess, because if you say that, then you look at last year at this time is when basically earlier in the season is when we did what we did. But you know what, it's you can't ever look back. It's decisions that need to be made, and you just think you got to make them at the right time.
Last one, Dennis.
Coach, you've coached a lot of defenses in your life. Do you have an example to draw from of a defense that seems so far away from it that did flip it mid-season that you're trying to get done now?
Yeah, I do. I can remember when I was at Florida, the year before we won the championship in 2008 and 2007, the defense was awful, and we didn't stop nobody. And I can remember we went to the bowl game that year, and we played Michigan, and Michigan scored on every possession. We didn't stop nobody, and I do. And Vance wasn't there at the time. Actually, Vance was at Michigan at the time, but we had and all our guys at that time, and not to make excuse, they were young then, because I can remember, because that 06 team, all those guys are seniors, so boom, they graduated. So then 07 they came in, they were all sophomore, junior, freshmen, a lot of guys that hadn't played a lot. And we were god awful on defense in 07. We didn't stop anybody. And then I can remember at the end of the season, we're sitting there, and then you go into the 08 year, and then all those guys are older. So then nobody even moved. They could move the ball from here to that wall against the defense then, because they had grown up, and that's the year. That's the year we're playing Georgia, so we intercept kind of like the rival game now. You intercept the ball, guy scores, and he does a backwards flip. Georgia scores, they run their whole team out on the field, and then they end up beating us pretty good that day. But it happens. I mean, sometimes you hit a point like that where you can't get out of that groove, and you're trying to get them. Hey guys, just play, and they start pressing and they're not making plays. But I've had that to happen before.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys. Mm-hmm.